February 18th, 2025 meeting of the Carlton School District Board of Directors is called to order. Tara, if you haven't led us in the pledge yet, would you mind leading us in the pledge tonight?
Yeah. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Director Apple?
Here.
Director Luke?
Here.
Director Montra?
Here.
Director Bushker? Here. Director Simpson? Here. Director O'Brien? Here. Director Zalewski? Here. Director Robiano? Here. Director Schreiber?
Here. So in the spirit of continual improvement, there have been several times throughout the year where we have information that we want to share, and we ask you to do it before you have a public comment, and we realize that's inefficient. So what we're going to do is we're going to change up our format a little bit, where we have our reports coming from our administration prior to the public comment, so that we can have all of the voting done prior to your public comment questions. So there are times when we have questions about things that are going to come out in our reports. So again, the goal is to have more transparency, and it'll be easier to do that all at the same time. So today we will hold your public comment until after the reports, and in general, the future agenda is going to have public comment right after the administrative reports. Good report. Make sense?
One more thing, you said
Yes.
that we have voting done before the public comment. Just, your intent was reports done before the public comment.
Thank you.
I don't
Correct.
think that- Just wanted to make it clear for everyone.
Correct.
Sorry, I didn't hear, you said there won't be voting until after public comment?
Correct.
So-
Correct, yes.
All right.
If it came out of my mouth incorrectly, Susan, thank you.
Okay.
It's good to have other board members listening. I'll report that we had the executive session part of this meeting where we discussed personnel matters, litigation, and real estate. I'll now turn to Dr. Credit for the superintendent report.
Mr. Schreiber. Tonight we had on the schedule for 3 reports, one from the senior high school, one from the junior high school, one from the senior high school, and then also one for the school district guidance council. Mr. Lochran had to, congratulations to the boys basketball team in the playoffs. As a requirement through Whitfield, they required to send an administrator to that event, so he had to go and cover that event. But Mrs. Burleson is with us this evening, and she is ready to provide an update on the junior high school.
Okay, thank you. Oh my gosh, too short. Thank you for having me. I always appreciate the time I get to share with everybody here. There are so many amazing things happening that you can read through the Cougar Connection or through PTO emails, things like that, but it's never the same from just hearing it. I was at my dinner table, my kids were like, did you practice your presentation? Are you nervous? I'm like, no, because I live this every day. So I'm just speaking of what I live, and I'm just excited that you have me here to share. I like to start with our goal, which I shared the last time I was here, where we're really working toward our positive PBIS, our positive behavior interventions and supports, which look and go through our house system, which I shared with you last time. A pretty cool video. I sent things in Cougar Connection, and I'm going to save that to the end because there are a lot of cool things happening. And then also, we're always looking at our academics, right? We want to improve. We want to improve in our math and ELA. Small but steady, right, wins the race. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how we've continued this year to work on those academics. So we continue to grow. Academically, we have put into the schedule, if you've been with the high school, there's our junior high, there's a win time and 9th period. We've added a math lab and an English lab. Those are times that really give the students and teachers time to kind of provide personalized learning or differentiated instruction through small groups, or a program, which is a second one that talks about IXL. IXL is a computer program that they take a benchmark. They've taken 2 so far. It gives us just proficiency levels. It provides us kind of like a dipstick of where they are right in this time, and assessment. We can use that data to create small group instruction, activities for those specific students, and it also gives them a personal path. We've done professional development for text-dependent analysis in English, IXL for English and in math. And then we've also had our delay days. We don't have the delays, so we are there working very hard, creating elevation plans for our students where we look at either PSS or PSSA data plus new IXL data plus current formal assessments, and they create plans for the students on how they can continue to move them to that next proficiency level, and continuous improvement, that we just have these plans in place to have the sustained growth. I mean, you can't see change with a new program or a new initiative in the very, very first year. Usually takes 3 to 5 years, but we are planning ahead to see that growth. This is just an example from IXL. This is a computer program, and they are asked to do this mostly during their wing time or their math lab, their English lab, and the more skills, they assess their skills as they're assigned different activities, and you can see through this visual that it is a mountain. The top of the mountain is their mastery of skills. You can see they've mastered so far. This is just 7th and 8th grade, 1,689 skills, proficient in 3,278, and they're still practicing 4,673, which is a good place to be right now. We're on target because we do technically still have half a year left. They target us every month to do about 25,000 questions, 7th and 8th grade. And you can see where we are right now with the 134,000. You can also see that's pretty good on target. We don't assign a lot of IXLs for home, and if they don't finish them in the school, we really encourage them to do it at home because practice makes perfect. I'm going to talk more about our house system, but this is an example. If you were here at the last board meeting, I showed our app that we have now on 2 monitors, and this shows what houses are in the lead right now. Unfortunately, Amistad is in the lead, but Algiers goes in second. So, but the cool thing right now is thanks to Miss Jackson, who has been able to figure out how to put our student pictures. These are actual moving pictures. It was just their initials, so I'd say like MC or whatever, but now you'll see the student on there, and they've been asked to do like different poses. So they'll be on our big screen in the middle of the hall, and they're like posing, and they're doing this, and kids are so excited to walk by, and like, oh my gosh, I'm on that, and I'm moving. And it's not just an initial. So that keeps motivating the students. We've also opened up our house store, so these points that they earn can be turned in for different items from our house store. And we have a couple of house leaders here who also run that store. So they're going to talk a little more at the end. PTO, we continue to move forward with our PTO. It's not a big commitment, it's junior high. They really don't want their parents there, most of them. But they're so involved already. It's our first year, and we're already seeing some great commitment, some great involvement. They have bi-monthly meetings in case somebody didn't get to go to one and is looking forward to going to another one. Our next one will be, I believe, in March. Communication channels, they do have a Facebook page, and they have an email blast, so you can get onto that. Fundraising, they fundraise and help for us. They have one at Permani Brothers. The one coming up is Penny Wars, so that will be fun. And hopefully raise lots of money. And they partner with the junior high. So if the junior high city council, needs something, they're having a dance coming up. So they asked for could any parents donate juice boxes, work the snack bar. So there are different ways the parents can be involved, and that's the volunteer piece as well. And plug if you know anyone. My whole PTO is 9th grade parents, so they'll be leaving us. So if you're interested in being on a PTO board, let me know for next year. We need some new parents. And I just wanted to end with our health system. It's like exploding in front of us. It is growing much bigger and faster than we could ever imagine, and it is only because of these amazing teachers who make this happen. I couldn't do this by myself. The amazing house leaders, the amazing students who are taking part in this, the wonderful board and administration that helps me, raise money and gives me permission to do things. But it's growing. So we have a partnership with Huntington Bank and the Ron Clark Academy, who has helped us go there, observe some of the things that they're doing in Atlanta, and provides us some money. They also provide us our trip there, but to do some of the things that we're doing. We're one of the pilot cities. You can see there's Cleveland, Columbus, Cincinnati, Detroit, and Pittsburgh. We're the only city, though, that was able to go to Georgia to see Ron Clark and had a cohort of people that do that. So we still talk to each other. This cohort, which is some of the Pittsburgh public schools, like Greensburg, Salem, I think Stowe Rocks. So there's several schools around us, not so close, like California, but there are many schools we partner with. And then there's that opportunity for network, and Huntington we still have the meetings with Huntington, so we're moving forward into year 2 to see how we can keep getting bigger and better. This success is just amazing. You can see some of the schools have implemented this house system, and some are not as far as us. Like, they can't believe how far we've gotten within just a few months. So we've actually had a couple schools come visit us, so I'll talk about that as well. But some of the outcomes we're hoping, that people who have done this at Ron Clark, they've researched and have student outcomes. There's an increased attendance. And I'm going to have some of my house leaders talk about our best day ever, which is one of our attendance incentives. And then because of these points, because we're a house, because we have this community, we should see a decrease in any behavior referrals, and increase in positivity. We are just so new. I don't have that data yet to present, but I look forward to having the data for you. And then just educator opportunities. It builds a stronger, supportive teaching community. It increases the morale. We have fun. We just have laughs, and when we have fun, the kids have fun, and it's easier to get them engaged. The vision that we continue to go forward, we've been asked already to do 2 presentations. The students actually were asked part of that. They went to the AIU and presented at the Student Summit, the house leaders. And then we've been asked to go back to AIU to present to the Coaches Conference. It's a very large conference that many schools are invited to, so we're one of the sessions. There's, I think, 4. So we'll be there in March. We've had 2 school districts come see our house system, see our best day ever, see our house assemblies. We are putting a proposal in to present at a Hershey conference. And then we just continue to have the networking. There are a couple of schools that are out on our level or near our level. We just exchange ideas. And when California was here, they had their house leaders talk to our house leaders, and we just kind of picked each other's brains. So it was a pretty amazing time just to sit back and watch that. And it continues to grow. So this house is growing. There's my little, rocket ship, because that's what I feel like. I feel like we're just there, and we are going to just fly to the moon, to the stars, whatever it's going to be. We had a meeting with the president of the Steelers, the Penguins, Charlie Batch. So we're trying to get more involved. Not just us, sorry. It was the cohort, and trying to do another cohort, plus continue to get our cohort to grow. So there's just a lot of great things happening with this house system. We're on the cutting edge here in Pittsburgh with this. But who wants to listen to me? I'm boring. But what's more fun is I have house leaders. So come up here, house leaders. We're going to end, with their energy and their excitement. I have Mary and Sydney. They're our house leaders. Sorry, congratulations to the basketball game, but that took away some of my house leaders. Not to mention, it's journey time. So I only had 2. I think we invited 8 or so. But Mary is our house leader for Amistad. Sid is our house leader for Revere. And the purpose of a house leader, they had to go through an application process. They had to go through an interview. And they had to sign a contract to keep up their end of the bargain of having positive behaviors, keeping their grades up. and you've done it. They do a great job, and then they have to motivate. They have to motivate the others. So one of the things I said was the attendance. What we do is we told the kids in the beginning of the year, one day you're gonna have the best day ever. You don't know when it's gonna be, but you better come to school every day because one day is gonna be the best day ever, you don't know. Well, Friday, I went up to the stage and I had an envelope that said standardized testing on it. I'm like, oh my, and I called everyone to the auditorium and I was like, oh my God, guys, they stopped me in the office. We have to do the standardized test. I'm so sorry. It is gonna take all day. I got you. I got you. And I had this whole thing of papers in my hand, like, let me read you, like the rules of what's gonna happen. And then I was like, or we can have the best day ever. And I screamed, I threw the papers, balloons came down, confetti. And it was all worth it because I told you. So what was like something cool about the best day ever? Either one can start.
I really liked how all of like the houses were together and we got to play games and everyone just kind of like got to skip school, but like it was everyone. It wasn't just like it was just like everyone having fun together.
And the best part was they think they skipped school, but their math time was an escape room. It was still math, but it was like fun. So that was cool. Sid, something that you loved? Or-
Everyone was just like engaged and everyone seemed to be having a good time. There was like a lot of teamwork involved.
All right, and they really were here too just to tell you about their house. So does either one of you want to go first? Just tell them a little bit about your house.
Well, it was just like, okay, I'm in Amistad and like in the Ron Clark Academy, Amistad means like house of like friendship. So we do little things like when we all get together, we make like ornaments for we have like an Amistad Christmas tree and it's kind of just like, we kind of just like want to represent friendship, I guess. I don't know. Just kind of the overall idea of like love. Like this, our symbol is like this. This is like a heart. Just we kind of like represent the overall idea of like love and friendship. So everyone in our house and the other houses.
And I was a house of Revere and I was a house of Rangers, so we did a lot of like activities related to, you know, like dreaming big and stuff like that. And we also did the ornaments and the Christmas tree, and everyone seemed to like that a lot. And we're all just like big on like chasing our dreams and making goals and things like that.
And what's your house sign?
It's like a moon.
They all have house animals, and they all have shirts. Amistad did win. The best day ever was a big competition, so they won, got a trophy. They were very, very excited. Anything else you want to add about the houses?
I just think that it's really like fun to just have everyone excited to like when everyone gets together, and it's just like it's really fun to just be in school, but then like see everyone just kind of like for one period and ninth period when we like all get together once a month or something. It's just kind of relieving sometimes to just see everyone that like you only seen doing work like kind of get together and have fun than just sitting in a classroom, you know?
Austin?
Yeah.
They also have house chants that they do. So like Mr. Kelowna, you want to do your house chant? I'm just kidding, you don't.
Okay. I was getting ready to spit on my gum, but.
Right? Mr. Kelowna and Altruismo. So when we do our house chants, we sit at the bottom and ours is blackout on your block, blackout on your block. And then they copy us. And they all have like different chants just to get them pumped and to give them a little sense of community that they're all on one house. But we do have signs that say 4 houses but 1 community. So even during best day ever, if a house was winning something and you might hear someone start to get a little too competitive, remember we cheer for every house. Even though we're 4 houses, we cheer for every house. So do you have any questions for our house leaders or for me?
I saw the stat on the very beautiful looking mountain. What is skill? Because like it seems like 1,000 skills is 1,000 skills.
And that is per 7th and 8th grade.
Okay.
So you're talking about, 200 kids, and there are probably 50 skills that they can learn. So they take each, say, math standard that they have, and they break it down. So it's not just number fluency. It could be multiplication and division. It could be dividing fractions. So those are all broken down into different skills. So it looks like a lot, but there are probably, like I said, 50 skills that's on a page that they could work on. That's a great question.
Barring the sorting hat, how are the kids divided into houses?
Rick, you want to take that? Go ahead.
Sure.
Sure, go
So
ahead.
on like the first week of school, I don't know if it was maybe like the second or third day of school, we were all called down. The 7th and 8th grade was called down to the auditorium, and they did 8th graders first. And you walk up onto the stage, and there was like a bin full of like ball pit balls that were red, blue, green, or black, and there was like kind of like a thing over it, so you would just stick your hand in and you look away, and whatever color you picked, that was like your color, and that was the house that you were in, and then you would give it back, and then you got to like slide down a bouncy house slide on your way to the stage, and then you just got to go back to your seat, and then like that was the house that you were in.
And the slide was like a figurative, symbol of this year, we don't have to do everything the same. We don't have to take the steps if we don't want to. If we find a new path to get somewhere, we can. If you want to take the slide, that's a new path. So that's kind of why we put the slide in there.
Sorry if I missed it. What was the primary reason for instilling the houses?
I would say, so we started PBIS. That's like the Positive Behavior Interventions and Supports, where you might have tickets or coupons, some sort of system to create that positivity. And then, we were in a grant cohort where we saw Ron Clark's Academy. We were still trying to figure out how to make positivity, like the rewards kind of program, more sophisticated for junior high. Coming from Crafton, like little tickets, little stickers, things like that motivate them, but that doesn't motivate them in junior high. So when we saw that system and we threw that out to like the junior high teachers were able to come see, and they've obviously lived junior high much longer than me, we were able to take a lot of it from them and make it our own, just to make kind of school. Junior high is a tough time for students. We wanted to create a family team, so they felt like they were valued each and every day they came to school. And it just didn't have to be their group of friends. It could be people that they normally wouldn't talk to. And it's kind of fun to see that. There are kids that you would never think talk to each other, but they're talking in their house meetings.
Any other board members have questions for me?
Marcia, I have a question. If this is blindsiding, maybe for the next time, I was going to ask Michael and Andy, how is truancy looking this year? The statistic, is it better? Does it improve?
I don't have the exact data, just from things that we're putting into place, like different incentives for the attendance. The kids seem very excited coming to school. When I informally talked to like Bethany, she's told me that from what she has seen, she sees the data before I do, it seems like it has improved.
Good, that's good to hear.
I have a quick question for the students. First of all, thank you for coming and sharing the stories with us. If you had to look forward to next year, would you recommend to Mr. Burleson that you do this again, or would you recommend they not do it next year?
I would recommend to do it again, because I think it just kind of like it's more exciting to go to school, and it's just kind of makes you a little like have something to look forward to, and it like brings everyone together and stuff. So and it's also just really fun. So
Cindy, what do you think?
Yeah, I excited to work there. I feel like everyone was more engaged in school and seemed like they were really eager to get hospitals and everyone was seemed excited.
So learning can be fun too.
I did hear some upperclassmen like hear our fun we were having and say, man, we didn't do that when we were in junior high. Thank you.
Oh, I do have one question. So, obviously, this is the first year. For next year, will the students go into new houses, they'll go through the selection process again, or do they stay in that house?
So we don't have it in ninth grade, so unfortunately the eighth graders, you have much more fun, you have fun things in ninth grade, but our seventh graders will stay in their house in eighth grade, and our incoming sixth graders will then have their house choosing ceremony.
We can borrow Terry's sorting hat.
I wish.
It was a sort of hit, so that's pretty good.
We're gonna be creative on that. All right. Thank you.
We also had Mrs. Shear, who planned on being with us this evening to go over the guidance plan. However, she was unable to join us. Dr. Taylor, you had an update on the guidance plan?
Yes. Excuse me. Our guidance plan is due to PDE in the spring. It's an annual plan that we have to do. Our teachers and our counselors are working since October on the plan. Had several committee meetings and done a lot of professional development into it. So we have a draft of our plan on your agenda. And they just did a phenomenal job. It addresses the career standards, it addresses interpersonal standards, social standards, and it maps out every single grade level what the school council department is going to do for our students. And it's phenomenal.
For the superintendent report, just a few things that are on the board agenda tonight. The Carleton School District Board of Directors is committed to ensuring the safety, security, and well-being of our students, staff, and school community. As part of our ongoing efforts to enhance school safety, the board will be voting on whether the district's newly established school police officer position will be armed on campus. If you recall, this was a state requirement that came through in the summer of 2024 regarding school districts employing security officers on campus. Tonight's motion provides authorization for the district-employed SPO to be armed while on duty, contingent upon the compliance with school board policy 805.2. 805.2 is on for the second read this evening, as well as all other applicable federal, state, and local laws. The approval is subject to the following conditions. The officer must obtain court approval as required by Title 24 of the Pennsylvania statutes outlined in Section 103C to carry a firearm in the course of their duties. The officer must maintain compliance with the certification and training requirements outlined in Policy 8052, including but not limited to Act 120 certification, annual firearms qualification, de-escalation training, and use of force policies. The district will establish clear guidelines regarding firearm storage, use, and accountability in collaboration with local law enforcement. Superintendent and the school safety and security coordinator will receive the implementation and compliance to policy 805.2 regarding the SPO. This decision comes after thorough research, stakeholder engagement, and careful analysis of benefits and concerns associated with the armed SPO. Input from parents, students, faculty, law enforcement experts, and national safety organizations have been carefully considered. As the board considers this recommendation, I believe there are several key factors to consider, which is enhanced protection and emergency response. Presence of an armed SPO provides an immediate trained first responder in the event of life-threatening situation. Research from the FBI, United States Secret Service, Department of Homeland Security emphasizes that quick response times are critical in mitigating casualties during active shooter events. An FBI report found that in cases where trained officers were on site, response times were significantly reduced, leading to fewer injuries and less fatalities. Second consideration is the deterrence against threats. Having an armed officer may serve as a deterrent to individuals who intend harm. The knowledge that a trained professional is prepared to respond to threats could discourage violence before they occur. The administration recognizes the presence of firearms may affect how students perceive their learning environment. While some students and parents strongly support an armed presence, others have expressed concerns over over-policing, anxiety, and potential for disproportionate responses to disciplinary issues. The administration remains committed to ensuring that the SBO prioritizes relationship building, mentorship, and de-escalation tactics in the role. The most important aspect of the SBO is finding an individual who's the right fit for Carleton and shares our values. The administration is committed to ensuring rigorous firearm safety training, ongoing certification, and clear use of force policies. These steps will be designed to mitigate risks. If the SBO is armed, the administrative team will work diligently to balance safety with the goal of maintaining a welcoming and supporting school climate. Carleton School District remains committed to ensuring that the SBO serves as a resource, a mentor, and protector for our students and staff. Regardless of the board's decision, the district will continue to invest in comprehensive school safety measures, including mental health supports, security infrastructure, and ongoing staff training. We appreciate the input from our community members and will continue to work to ensure Carleton schools remain a safe and nurturing environment for learning. Additionally, as part of our ongoing commitment to excellence in education and community development, tonight we reach an important step in enhancing the modernization of Carnegie Elementary School. Our board of directors will be voting to authorize the administration to officially take this renovation project out for bid. Investing in this project is not merely a matter of maintaining our infrastructure. It's about recommitting ourselves to the future of our children and to our community. Carnegie Elementary, which was built in 1954, has served us very well for decades, but it's now time to ensure that it continues to meet the evolving educational demands and safety standards for today's world. The renovation is essential for several reasons: safety and accessibility, modern learning environments, energy efficiency, community enhancement, and long-term financial efficiency. Upgrading our facilities to meet current safety and accessibility standards is not just a legal necessity, but a moral obligation. Every child and every staff member deserves a safe and accessible learning environment. Our students need and deserve classrooms and facilities designed for the future. The project will provide spaces that are conducive to modern teaching methods and learning styles, incorporating technology and flexible design to better serve our educational goals. By upgrading our infrastructure, we will reduce the school's operation costs and its environmental footprint, making a long-lasting impact on our community. These improvements will not only benefit the students and staff, but will also make the school a cornerstone for community events. Enhanced facilities will be available for community events, making our school a hub of activity and pride. Investing now in high-quality renovations will save money in the future in the long term by reducing the need for frequent repairs and upgrades. It's a cost-effective approach to managing our resources and planning for the future. As we move forward with the bidding process, I'd like to outline some key updates and steps. They've been slightly renovated with change with some of the dates here. Massara Construction, who is our construction management team, will send the bids out, the documents to Friendscape on March the 6th. The documents then will be out for bid for potential bidders on March 7th. A pre-bid meeting will be held on March 18th at Carnegie Elementary School, providing an opportunity for potential bidders to gather more information and clarify any concerns. Bids will be due by April 3rd, which the district will review all submissions thoroughly. We will formally award bids at our legislative meeting then on April 15th. As we undertake and take this project out for bid, we are looking for partners who understand the significance of this project and are committed to delivering the highest quality work. We're dedicated to transparency in the process and will ensure that all steps are taken to achieve the best outcome for our school district. This renovation promises to our children that we value their education and well-being. It's a promise to our teachers that we support their efforts in educating the next generation. And it is a promise to our community that we will continue to invest in our collective future. Together, we can build a brighter future. Finally, in the area of personnel, the agenda includes reconfiguration of responsibilities with confidential secretaries with the elimination of the Human Resources Secretary, and transferring major responsibilities to the Executive Assistant to the Superintendent, and replacing the position with the Secretary for Administrative Services. This position will play a key role in district communications, curriculum support, compliance, budgeting, grant coordination, and financial assistance. These responsibilities have been identified as an area of need for the district. We also restructured the PIMS and Child Accounting and Registrar position changing that position into the registrar and ESL secretary, and placing that position down at Carnegie Elementary School, which is a natural hub for our community. Personnel agenda also includes the hiring of 4 new general food service workers at the junior senior high school. Food service workers provide outstanding service to our students, are highly dedicated to their work. We plan to expand services with these newly employed employees to our students by opening additional lines and offering extended menu choices to our students. Furthermore, the agenda includes the acceptance of the retirement of Mr. Matt Connolly. Mr. Connolly has been employed by the district since 1993 and currently serves as a valuable member of our maintenance team. Mr. Connolly plans to retire in April and will be invited back to the spring board meeting to celebrate his retirement. Finally, we bid farewell to Carrie Gallagher, who recently resigned from her position. Mrs. Gallagher has been a valuable member of our team as the guidance secretary. Her personality, strong work ethic, and genuine care and concern for our students will certainly be missed, and we wish her well in her future endeavors. That concludes the superintendent report.
Any questions, board members? Turning to our students, student representatives, do you have reports for us tonight?
So, hello, my name is Grace Tyso, and I'm the student representative for the junior class.
I'm Mateo Carrasco, and I'm the rep for the seniors. And we are honored to have the opportunity to highlight some of the fun things that students here at Carleton can do besides school. So, first, the old business. As for the prom committee, students involved attended the basketball game on January 24th, helping sell baked goods to raise money for prom. These baked goods were made by the students. They made cookies, brownies, cupcakes, and chocolate-covered strawberries. Also, Ms. Ift baked fresh and authentic sourdough bread. I don't know if you guys know how difficult that is. It's not for the faint of heart. There was regular jalapeno cheddar, chocolate chip, and double chocolate chip. By the end of the night, it was sold out. There was also a jersey raffle as well in order to raise money for people buying tickets. The jersey being raffled is signed by the Pittsburgh Pirates player, Getty Ball. So, that's...
And then on January 29th, juniors attended the NACA College Fair, and there was over 200 colleges that were represented from all around the country. And students got to talk to colleges that they were most interested in. And they also got to kind of shorts and got a bunch of stickers on the buses. We were like sharing which ones we got. We were all really excited. And there was also food available, which students obviously enjoyed. And some of the feedback regarding the field trip was that because they said it was longer, because due to Parkway, students have to like having to go back to school at a certain time. All of the Continental students had to go back to the school, and even others. Well, they could leave so early. But other than that, everyone really enjoyed it and enjoyed the experience talking about all the colleges.
On January 29th, the National Honor Society partnered with Chick-fil-A in Bridgeville to do a fundraiser for the National Honor Society. The fundraiser was a success and lots of students showed up throughout the day. The time slot that profits, what it is, the time slot the profits would go to the NHS was 12 to 8. Yeah.
And then I'm just not realizing how many things were going on January 29th. But on January 29th, the results for the Scholastic Art and Writing Awards came back, and I was somebody who submitted a dress that I designed and sewed with my grandma, and I received a gold key, which is one of the highest you can receive. But that was really exciting, and also I'd like to recognize another Carleton student, Eva Milner, who is a senior right now, and she submitted her college essay, and she also got a gold key, so I thought that was really good. But yeah, really exciting, and there's always a lot of anticipation whenever you're waiting for results to come back, and everyone's telling you, oh, you're gonna do so good, it's okay, like don't have any worries. And then you're sitting there, you're like, I want the results back. But I mean, even
On February 6th, it was the senior night for the Conference swim team. Dominic Pelisek, Mallory Rose, and Paige Donahue were all honored and got to walk out on the pool deck to get their pictures taken. Ms. Bunch announced their names and speeches about them, and their achievements were given. All three of them were given gifts and were also holding them while being honored. They swam against Chartiers Valley swim team, but unfortunately lost. Nonetheless, they articulated that they were happy no matter what. It was an overall bittersweet. Also, there was a big spread of desserts that they had to enjoy.
And then on February 12th, the student government had one of their monthly meetings, and afterwards, students who were involved, they decorated the block cafe. You saw them, the art all day. But they will keep the decorations up all week, and then after their meeting, we also talked about fundraisers too. And right now, one fundraiser that we're doing is a parking raffle, which basically you can buy a parking raffle ticket, and if your name is picked, then as a student, I'm talking as if like you got here. As a student, if your name is picked, then you can park in Mr. Lockman's parking spot for
Lastly, the Black Student Union had its monthly meeting on February 13th and celebrated both coming out with the Cougar Cafe as a way to make profits and collaborate with student government. Additionally, there was lots of talk about Kendrick Lamar and SZA, as well as their recent performance during the Super Bowl halftime show. The club talked about the impact and significance of the halftime show and what it symbolized for Black individuals and BHM in general. Then the club did a fun speed dating activity where they got up from their seats and moved around, conversed with different members of the club, and answered questions together about Black history. Lastly, Jordan Carter, one of the founders and presidents of the club, talked about the 3v3 event coming up, as pizza, fries, and wings was provided for members to eat.
And then as for new business, the GSA, which is the Genders and Sexualities Alliance Club, has a meeting on February 18th, and there will be fun activities and just talking about like popular impact of icons in the LGBTQ community, and there will be a speaker named Madison who's supposed to come and attend and speak about the concerns in their community. And the main goal is just to spread awareness for the hardships of individuals and for students that are interested in the club but may have a hard time staying after school with other extracurriculars. They're starting a new GSA cafe club or morning cafe meeting where they'll meet in a room with the group cafe, and at the end of every month they'll go over like, everything that they did at their meeting in that month. So I think that was cool.
On February 19th, Best Buddies is having a meeting for Valentine's Day, and it will take place in the shop. Students in this club love the meetings as they do fun activities and snacks are provided most of the time. At this meeting, there will most likely be fun opportunities for art to celebrate and spread love amongst each other. On February 22nd, which is a Saturday, the Black Student Union is holding the 3v3 basketball game in order to raise money for future field trips. If you guys could, please come. It's a great opportunity to fundraise and to watch me get absolutely destroyed by most people. Thus, the money comes from the tickets in which they're sold for people to participate in the game, as well as concessions and the big sale and the Halloween summit. Great profits were said to be made off the tickets, so hopefully the tickets well.
What time is it?
I think it's at 7.
I think it's
6.
like 6 to 8.
Yes.
And lastly, once again about the awards, the ceremony will be held at Carnegie Mellon University on March 9th, which is also my birthday, which is so but it is the same location as last year. It is absolutely beautiful. All the work will be displayed in the Fine Arts Hall. And after the ceremony, individuals are being encouraged to go over there and spend whatever time you need to just look at all the art and kind of appreciate all the time that you put in the work. And the ceremony is around 30 minutes, but each student is recognized in their work as well as displayed. And the and the results for the national judgment will be released on March 26th.
And in regards to the heavy topic of a police officer being in the presence of our school at all times, on behalf of the student body, I'd like to articulate the concerns and thoughts in which they told me. It's certain that we would appreciate this being put in play, and we know that it's for safety. As a him being armed, that would also be beneficial in terms of scenarios where we see intruders all over the news. An officer having a weapon would also potentially steer away any violent or inappropriate thoughts or plans that students or anyone in general may have in terms of harming themselves or others, because they understand that there's security to immediately stop them.
I think we can all agree, the most of us can agree that, obviously at our age, we know that it's more so for our protection and, do things that will help us feel secure.
Thank you for sharing that and for your entire report. Any questions?
They give such concise reports.
Yes.
I don't know how they have time for the homework. Wonderful reports.
Thank you, Mayor Rhodes. Thank you very much. And to the audience, thank you for your patience. This was the intent now, is to have all of the reports, all of that information shared. Now, if you have open forum questions, open forums at the end. If you have beginning of meeting questions on agenda items, now is the time for you to raise your hand and ask those questions about agenda items. Great.
Hello, everyone. Can you state your name?
Yeah, I was just about to.
Thanks. My name is Brittany Bova. I live in Carnegie. I have a son who is in 3rd grade at Carnegie Elementary. So I want to speak on 2 topics tonight. The first is on the armed police officer, and the second is on the new secretarial positions. So I'm not here to change anybody's mind. I think I stated several board meetings ago, and every board meeting that I brought it up, I'm not in favor of an armed officer at the school, especially at this point when we have no other security measures to stop an armed intruder. We don't have metal detectors, we don't have alarms on doors, so, it's again putting a bleeding patch on, or a patch on a bleeding wound that needs surgery, stuff like that. So I'm not here to change my mind. The only thing I'm asking is, if it is voted on tonight, that part of the training the district does with this officer includes implicit bias training. I've heard about de-escalation techniques, I've heard about other stuff, but it is imperative that this officer goes through an in-depth implicit bias training. It is shown, statistics have shown, that students of color and those with disabilities are 10 times more likely to have a negative interaction with any type of law enforcement on school property. It is also shown that in ourselves we have our own bias, and I have my own implicit bias, and I'm learning every day. I go through a yearly training, but I think it is imperative that not only the school police officer, but everybody in the district do their own implicit bias training, and I'd be happy to share some fairly good resources with you for that type of training. Again, I'm not here to change anyone. I'm asking that as a mother of an African-American child and another child who will be entering the district next year, so when that armed police officer is in, that you take that into consideration of what my fear is as a white mother with those children of color and as a child with a disability. As my whiteness, I can't protect them from any implicit bias, but I want you guys to think about that when you make these decisions. I don't take it lightly. I understand school safety, but when we have 0 other measures to protect my children, it seems a little extreme to me. So that's my thoughts on that. In regards to the new secretarial positions, again, as a concerned parent, I have some concerns in regards to the salary. I'm not saying they're not worth their money, because I think everybody is worth what they're getting paid. My concern is that when I've looked at salaries for our teachers, that it shows our teachers that we don't care about them, right? When a starting salary position for a teacher in this district with a master's degree is $44,000. with a master's degree in continuing education, and they don't even make that salary of what that secretary will be making until year 12. Year 12, 12 years, with a master's degree, with continuing education. That is a slap in the face to our teachers, and to any teachers that are here, I am sorry for you. I will tell you that if we want good teachers to stay in this district, or we want to hire good teachers, we have to take a hard look at that for next year's collective bargaining. Because that, to me, puts, again, I'm not saying the secretaries weren't worth it. I'm saying that where we put our money where our mouth is, and we're not showing our teachers who dedicate their time to our children, that they're not worth it. When it takes them 12, 13 years to get to that salary. So when you're approving that tonight, I want you to think about that, what you're saying to our teachers. I get it, they're 10-month employees, but they're worth more than 10 months. They put 13, 14 months into the 10 months that they work. I see it day in and day out with my son, and I can't thank them enough. So please think about that when you're making that decision of what you're saying to our teachers and to other positions in this district who aren't making that type of money, who have the same qualification, high school diploma, those type of skills. Please think about that when you're doing that.
Any other pre-voting public questions? Yes.
Hi, Debbie Sedigas, I live in Crafton. Just to piggyback off what she was saying about the resource officer, I'm not opposed to the resource officer being armed if they have training, and I like the suggestion of the bias training for everyone at the school district. But what other preventative measures are there? A couple things that I'm concerned with, like there's no metal detectors, like she said, and one thing that's always concerned me since my daughter entered the junior high is those lockers are tiny. You can't fit anything in them. Everyone's walking around with their book bags. There's no metal detectors. How do you know what's in those book bags? That's a huge concern for me, and it has been from day one. So just, that's my question to you. How do you know what's in those backpacks, and what measures are in place to prevent someone from bringing a weapon into school?
Mr. Jones is here. He's our school safety coordinator, school safety and security coordinator. I think we have a variety of emergency response protocols that we have in place. In regards specific to your question, as far as what we know what's in student backpacks, we don't unless we get a report in regard to a safety type of violation where we do have the right to inspect. We do have the right to do random searches of both lockers and personal belongings. We have the right to bring in dogs who are trained to detect different types of substances and other types of things that we're able to do as well. But no, to answer it directly, we don't know. I know the board has considered in the past metal detectors. I believe that we've weighed that, and I think we're taking a look into other types of methods that are newly evolving in regard to technology that could potentially help on that front to help protect the students better as well. Mr. Jones, I don't know if you want to put anything else in addition to that?
No, I think you nailed that or answered that question. At least what we have at this moment. There are a lot of evolving technologies, and we'll continue to look at those. And generally, they're quite expensive. Obviously, we don't put up a price on safety, so we look at different grant opportunities and things to get those as well.
If I could ask a quick follow-up question on your lockers. I've heard anecdotally that a lot of students don't use lockers. Maybe it's because they're too small, but maybe parents can help suggest, or the students, Sid, but you can suggest ways to have the kids be more embracing of lockers to put their backpacks in.
It doesn't fit. I mean, she would have to empty out everything from her backpack and go to her locker between every class to get a book. And I mean, even just people with sports equipment, who play sports, you could barely even fit a coat in the lockers. I mean, they're like this big. And with everyone carrying around their backpacks, you don't notice in those backpacks. Like everything that you've explained is on the defense. Like where's the offense? How are we preventing something to happen before it happens? Yes, you can get a rapid response. Yes, you can have an armed resource officer, but what are you doing to prevent a weapon from being brought in? I mean, they could be walking around with weapons all day and you don't know.
I think currently the proactive inspecting of backpacks is a random occurrence, which is meant to be a deterrent, but are there other things we can do? I think that's a good question. Yes.
I'm April Fox from NIT. I just wanted to read a statement for your consideration before tonight's vote. Unlike Brittany, I am here to hopefully change your minds. I really want to express my grave concerns over this board moving forward, but the decision is critical as arming a school police officer when we still haven't seen a job description and nothing has been detailed. If you recall, I asked about this at last month's meeting and still don't have any additional information. On September 17th, despite strong public objection, the board approved the position with the assurance that the potential harms would be carefully considered. We were told that baseline data would be captured, that a job description outlining training, responsibilities, conduct, and interactions with students would be circulated before any next steps. That hasn't happened. Instead, we're now being asked to accept the possibility of a lethal weapon entering our schools without any clear framework for oversight or accountability. A questionnaire was sent home to families on October 11th, yet the results haven't been shared, nor has the board provided any transparency on how these findings are shaping the role. How can you justify the vote when the public still hasn't even seen the data that was meant to guide it? Most critically, I'd like to ask how many incidents in our schools are currently necessitating police officers? You mentioned tonight that the SBO can mitigate or deter threats. How many such threats are we currently receiving? I ask again, what is the problem that we are actually trying to solve here? If none of this data exists, what's the justification for arming the officer? How many of our students are currently being arrested? How many of our students are being referred to law enforcement? What evidence at all exists that an armed officer is going to make our students safer rather than increasing the likelihood of criminalizing them? We assure the public that this process would be thoughtful. That requires transparency, due diligence, and at the very least, a job description before a decision of this magnitude is made. I urge you to delay this vote until the promised steps have been completed and the public has been given an opportunity to fully understand the implications. Thank you.
We will have some discussion prior to our vote, and I think some of your questions might be answered during that discussion. But any other pre-voting questions about agenda items? If not, we will move on.
I have one.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor. Sorry.
I'm Doreen Dennis, I'm from Carnegie.
Okay.
My understanding is you were going to have one officer for 3 schools. So if that one officer is up at the high school, say one day, and all of a sudden we have an active shooter down at the Carnegie Elementary or Grafton, what takes place during that period that our kids are going to be safe if our resource officer is at the high school?
We currently don't have any district employees that are resource officers or police officers. We currently rely on our police department partners. So we're looking to take this first step, which is required by law, but we're taking this first step to add one employee. We'll assess how does that person cover the buildings, are there other gaps, and do we have other needs in other buildings that we need to address. So I think we're still in the very early stages of understanding how this one role, how effective this one role will be, and where we have to go from there.
Thank you.
Can I just ask for clarification? So I just want to make sure I'm clear. The law is a school resource or police officer, but it was at first proposed an armed officer like the law, but that was an addendum. Their addendum was made, so the law doesn't state it has to be armed, correct?
I believe you're correct. I believe it is.
The law is school security. There has to at least be one, which we haven't had any. The armed issue is really up to the board discussion.
So the law, sorry, just want to be clear. The law is security, not necessarily officer? Is
Right,
that,
there are different types of school security. There are security guards, school resource officers, and school police. This board is considering school police with the caveat of an armed officer, a firearm. But that has to be approved by the court. And that's what I would do is take a petition to the Court of Common Pleas and get an order of court. So there is a check and balance.
but the
To
law
make sure that the
is
person is
security,
qualified.
I just want to, I'm understanding, so it's, the law doesn't have to include an armed officer.
It does not, no,
Okay,
no.
all right.
That's a board decision.
Any other pre-voting questions from the public? If not, we'll move on to the agenda. So now we will go back and look at section 2. Thank you. Our solicitor reminded me I forgot committee report, so in haste to get to, committee report, we'll do it real quick. So, Director Apple, do you have any Parkway West update?
I do, thanks. Brief, because we've already, we had career exploration day at Parkway West. 8th graders, they get to experience 2 different programs that are shooting over 2 days. Administrators report that there were over 800 kids from the ascending districts that came to these career exploration days, and they said it was a packed house. So that's good. Interest in career technical education continues to grow, and we have another excellent resource for our students out there. The other thing is that the 25-26 school year calendar has been published. It's available on the website. We also have a copy here if anybody would like to see it. And finally, as you can see on the agenda, the general operating and joint budget for the center is on our agenda to be approved. That budget needs to be approved by I hope that our board will support that budget. I think that Parkway has demonstrated over the years that students taxpayer dollars to provide excellent service to the students in the community, and that's all. Thank you.
Director Bouchard, any updates on Pathfinder?
Thank you, Jim. Our next Pathfinder meeting, federal meeting is tomorrow. And if this sounds like a repeat from last month, it is. Because of the way the calendar turned out, the last Pathfinder meeting was in a week before our meeting here. So I played hooky because I thought I was more needed at Carnegie Elementary School to be there for the community meeting for the elementary school. So I'll be there for the next one.
Okay, thank you. Director Zaleski.
Who are you?
I'm back for a night. But Shasta will be having their annual meeting at Upper St. Clair High School on this Thursday. So I believe Dr. Carter will be in attendance in person, and I will be back in Rhode Island and not able to be there. Jessica will be there as well. Do you agree with that? But more importantly, what I'd like to share is that at the Student Recognition Conference on Saturday, April 12th, that will be held for South Point Hilton Garden Inn. And this year, the school has nominated Paul Worth and Malama Jed to be recognized for Carlisle. So that will be exciting for them, and I hope to be able to be back at it.
Good to have you back. Thanks.
Good to be here.
Director Vivianis, any
Real
updates for
quick,
us?
yes, I do, real quick. On Tuesday, February 4th, Governor Shapiro put forth his budget proposal. He called for expanding the basic education funding pool for K-12 schools by $75 million, another $40 million for special ed, and $526 million to underfunded schools in the state. And then today, Governor Shapiro also announced the nomination of Dr. Terry Rowe as the new Secretary of Pennsylvania Department of Education. Dr. Rowe brings 25 years of public education experiential role, and she previously served as the Deputy Secretary of Elementary and Secondary Education in PA. Then also on May 13th will be Advocacy Day at the State Capitol in Harrisburg. So that's school directors, school business managers, and superintendents from all over PA will come together and engage with legislators on top issues affecting public education. And I will be there in attendance for that. And then lastly, on March 27th, the AIU will host their annual Allegheny County Legislative Forum on Education, and a panel discussion will be with local state lawmakers, and we will explore a variety of issues in public schools.
Thank you. Quick follow-up question. Did I remember correctly when the governor came out and when he put his budget out, he noted that the court decision from last year that called school funding unconstitutional, part of his reason for the increased funding is to address that?
Yes, correct. Yes, we got $4.5 million or $4.5 million in the base that was gap. So he's continuing with additional funding.
Thank you very much. And Director Simpson?
The foundation, we met the first Tuesday of the month. We're just coming in for case of part of their council meeting.
And you have a date, I think you shared it last time, the date for case of part?
Yes, April 20th.
April 28th. April 28th.
Monday, April 28th.
It's always a good time. Thank you. Any questions on committee reports? Awesome. Now we will go back to section 2. My apologies for the hiccup. Section 2, Board, I will entertain a motion to approve minutes from the previous 2 meetings that we have listed there, items 2.1 and 2.2.
I second.
Second.
Move to second. Thank you. Any questions or discussion? If not, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Jumping then to section 4, there are 6 items under section 4. And a motion to approve all 6 items. Moved and seconded. Thank you. Any questions or comments? If not, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Under section 5, finance, we have also 6 items. I'll entertain a motion to approve all 6 items under section 5.
So second.
Moved and seconded. Thank you. Any questions or comments? If not, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Under section 6, personnel, we have 6 items as well. I'll entertain a motion to approve all 6 items. Moved and seconded. Thank you. Any questions or discussion? If not, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Got a quick shout out to Kerry Gallagher and the autonomy, along with both of those folks. Under section 7, student activities, I'll entertain a motion to approve the field trips.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Thank you very much. Any questions or comments? Not for vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Under section 8, let's do items 1 and 2 motion. Policies, item 1 and item 2.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Rachel, did you get
All of us said all of them.
that side of the table? Moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion? If not, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, section 8.3, the school police officer authorization. I'll entertain a motion to approve that single item.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Thank you. Questions and discussion? Let's have this be robust. So who's brave enough to start? Chris, you started to open your mouth.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a big issue, obviously. And I think we'll go a lot of different directions. You know, I don't think that we would, you know, it's come up for us in the past and we've not gone down the road because we wanted to put our research, our financial resources in, you know, different places. Not, you know, safety is obviously important, but we are moving quicker, I guess, because it's legislative. We have to do this. So we have to have And I get the feeling of that it's moving, it seems like it's moving fast, but and that you don't have the information that you want to have. And I think that's a function of the mechanics of how these things work. It's not that we have the full job description in place right now. There are just little steps that have to happen along the way to put that all together. So, you know, I get that feeling of, well, you know, it's not transparent, but there are just little steps. So this step that we're, I think, you know, looking to take today is just one piece of it. And don't take it lightly. But we also listen to what constituents have to say. You know, and judging by what I saw in the survey responses, while I wouldn't at first be agreeable to an armed school officer, I feel like, and I did hear someone say, it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So if somebody else is talking. So in that case, I would say that that's something that I'm in favor of. I would not, I don't like the idea of this looking at the state. I don't like the idea of students feeling like they're surrounded by police. So, you know, I would want it to be, you know, I think it's in my mind, it has to be more of a proactive safety measure. It has to be more of a thing where this person is a mentor to our students and a guide for our students and can give instruction and, you know, be maybe a role model and also bring influence safety. I wouldn't want that person to be uniformed with the kind of sticking out somewhere. I would want them to be with the commanders and someone can be trusted by community members and the people who want to. So that's kind of what I'm doing.
I'll echo your points, Director Simsek, that we were provided the survey. I'm sure there's a way to the constituents of our district. But a majority of I'm sorry. Sorry. A majority of the constituents within the survey did say that they were in favor of. Now, if I'm correct, this survey was teachers, students, parents, and it was beneficial to hear from our student representatives as well. So I appreciate you providing that opinion. Like Chris said, we don't take it lightly. It's a very touchy and emotional issue. But I agree that I will be voting to armed police officer. I think that as long as they are not in a police officer uniform and they're kind of in casual uniform, casual outfit, it's a concealed weapon, whatever that ends up being, the students will feel safer instead of a person just coming up to you and saying, hey, what are you doing? And they're thinking that they're getting in trouble and whatnot. So I just think that in a situation where there is an intruder, like Chris said, we'd rather somebody to be here armed to be able to stop that rather than kind of stuck in the same position that we are. And like Chris said, seems very quickly, but it is a state law.
And I think another factor to consider is, you know, certain security measures aren't put out to the general public because that's what keeps them secure. You know, we're not going to say, okay, we have a camera here, 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 and here, and we're doing this, 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 and this, so anybody knows where like weak spots are. You know, you understand, like, you know, so I think that you have to balance what you can put out and what you can't.
These are difficult times in our country. Thank God, we haven't needed a police officer yet. But the only thing that stops a bad person with a gun is a good person with a gun.
Respectfully, sir, that's
This
right.
is the board's time. It's the board's time. There'll be time later.
I'll jump in and say that we have done a whole lot of proactive work on student safety, and sorry, I have a poem that I don't want to share with all of you, but felt it was very important to be here, so if you can't hear me, I will shout louder. We've done a whole lot of proactive work, Dr. Surdy and all of the work of the Chill Project and the school psychologists and the caring teachers. All of that is proactive school safety work. We are also in this position having this discussion because of a state law that requires us to have a school security officer or security guard or police officer in place. We had a discussion about what that looks like. The question tonight is, do we arm this individual or not arm this individual? And that will help us build the job description, because the job description kind of depends on the tools that that person has in order to be able to do the job. I am fundamentally against weapons of any kind in schools. I don't think weapons belong in schools regardless of who is carrying them. I also think that we have a whole lot of students in our district who have trauma in their past, whether it is trauma related to interaction with law enforcement outside of our district, whether it is trauma related to being a refugee and being in a war-torn environment. A lot of trauma comes along with seeing weapons in a safe space that they are supposed to be in. I recognize that not everyone agrees with me on this, and I recognize that my likelihood of changing people's minds is not high here. But I do think that given the fact that we are being forced into this decision by the state, we should lean into the things that we are good at, which is making sure that the students have the supports that they need and making sure that we are thinking holistically about a young person rather than thinking about how we can be punitive and protect against something that has not been a situation that we have yet faced, thank goodness. But I just am not in favor of arming our district this time.
Other thoughts?
I wish that it wasn't necessary for us to be making this decision. I fully understand the concerns that Susan was expressing. I understand that there is a certain percentage of our district that does not look, students in our district who would not look favorably or comfortably on seeing our dogs or our dogs. And I think we have to acknowledge that. I lean still in favor of arming this person, primarily because I think it's going to impact the kind of person that we're going to be able to get. And I think that fit is going to be incredibly important, and I trust that our administration, who is well aware of the complexity of our district, is going to take that into account. I think that we bear responsibility in that, and be watching as well. I think it's very important. I would not support this person being openly. I think that concealed carry will be important. I would not support somebody walking around looking like a police officer. I think that safety can be achieved in other ways. So if that is the direction that we go, I think that it is going to be important for them to be dressed casually, part of the district, part of the classrooms, part of building connections with the kids, not part of discipline. But that would be the direction that I would go.
I just agree. This has been an issue that, this has been brought up over the years, and not just in the last couple of years. And the idea that we're rushing this, I take a little bit of issue with, because we actually got to confirm, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, this is not something that, you know, we've got a limited amount of resources, and take it very seriously that we have to maximize what those resources are for the outcomes that we're trying to achieve, which is educate our children, keep them safe, and send them out into the world good citizens and prepared to live a productive and happy life. You know, I take the suggestions of training, including implicit bias training, very seriously, and I think that that's an excellent idea. I think that the type of person that I envision hiring for this job goes beyond someone who's going to be someone who walks the halls. That would be a security guard. I don't think that's a very effective use of our resources. I want someone who's highly professional, communicator, someone who can be a resource, for a role model, an adult that children can trust, communicate with parents, staff, integrate themselves into this school community and be a net asset. So yeah, I do feel like it's crucial to get the right person, to get the highest quality person. And I think that when you're talking about a professional, there to be someone who is going to be from a high quality police background. You're going to want to be able to be armed. The point is, though, that I hope that people understand that all these years, I really felt strongly that the idea of having a police officer in schools is not the solution to an outside actor coming in and doing something. I just don't feel like that is I mean, the statistics bear it out. It's not a successful strategy. In fact, it's news when it works. So I think that to have someone in this school environment that's going to be a trusted member of the community that is going to add a net positive is what the goal is. And I don't think that they should be in a uniform, open carry, anything like that. And to me, the real reason behind going for a school police officer as opposed to a school resource officer, and I know this has been litigated in past meetings, is that the school resource officer comes from the police department, and the police department is their ultimate employer. By having a school police officer, we get to design the job description. We get to make the policies that they follow, and we get to choose our person. I think that's really important. I don't take any of this lightly. I do think that our administrators have done a really excellent job of hiring people. And I trust them that they'll do the same with this one. I think that, like Director Ryan said, it's incumbent upon the board to monitor that process and be engaged in it. And I guess I've talked about it, so I'm going to leave it at that. But I want folks to know this is something I've given a lot of thought to over the years, and not a decision to take lightly.
So, as predominantly as a white middle class family, pretty successful, really have a reason to be scared of a threat being put on me in my daily life. But I know obviously our school is very different school, and a lot of people really not feel the same way. But that position being that person being put into the school would obviously initially put a lot of students, probably the majority of students, on edge as if there was potential for a threat. So would the position be like announced to the students before this is implemented, or would the person just begin working and you would
those kinds of questions. And our superintendent, assistant superintendent communicated that they understand that the sensitivity of a role like this and the need for communication and transparency and, as several directors said, the vetting of the candidates, the vetting of the job description, and guiding the right person. And once we get the right person, having them walk in the halls, be in a classroom, not being viewed as the authoritarian or the police officer, but as much a psychologist and a friend and a counselor as they are a police officer. So setting that right tone for this role is as important as anything else. So I think those kind of questions we have yet to finalize the answer on. I think we have the spirit of the framework of what we're looking for, and our goal, and the directors jump in and correct me or add to this if I'm not articulating properly, is to make sure that we don't have any situations like we described. We don't want kids to find themselves afraid of this person. We want to very quickly build trust and see this person as a resource for their success. So, directors, and disagree. So, yeah, very good question. Kelly, do you have anything?
I am somebody who lost sleep over this. It's not been easy for any of us. I respect my fellow board members. I respect the parents, the faculty, and staff that are on the board. I don't think any of us saw this coming until we found out that we had to. You know, as Jen has said, we've talked about it over the years. Some of us have been here for 8 plus 9, 10 years on the board. But now it's here and we have no choice. And we've got to make a very difficult decision. I too agree that we are going to have to honor this officer, but that hasn't been determined if we're going to do that. But I'm very adamant about making sure that we do this the right way, the concealed, casual approach in the dress. Somebody that's approachable. The kids, this should be something that the kids know by name, not as officer. Totally respect Susan's opinion and those of the parents as well who expressed their concerns. It's not easy for any of us.
I'm an attorney. I'm a father, first of all. I'm an attorney, but before I went to law school, I worked in public education for 6 years. I was a teacher for 2 years, a head teacher for 2 years while I got my master's. I was a principal, I was the youngest principal in the state of Alaska for 2 years before making a career change. So I've been in public education on the administrative side, teacher side, I'm a parent, and now I'm an attorney, and now I'm an elected official, sitting on this board. And I am personally very against having an armed officer in the school. But being an elected official, listening to constituents, we send out a survey. Students have given their opinions, teachers have given their opinions, community members, parents, and it sounds like the majority of people want an armed officer. And to Kelly's point, what that looks like is still not finalized. So, be it concealed carry, non-lethal projectiles, a taser is a first choice. All those things are up for consideration, but it seemed like the constituents want our officer. So this is where we're at.
I'll quickly add that we had in meetings 6 months ago, 5 months ago, we had some professionals that do this for other districts. We could ask them a bunch of questions, and some of the questions that my peers asked that were really good. The concealment thing and the visual presentation of that employee was a big piece of the communication. And several people said, yeah, if you dress them in school clothes, not police clothes, and if you conceal that weapon, and if your job description is around helping and being a counselor and a guide, not an authoritarian figure, it changes the dynamic, and it takes away some of the very real concerns that some people have with police officers. So I think we can help ourselves reduce some of the potential downside from this. The other thing I like to hear is the professionals that came and talked to us 6 months ago or whatever, when we asked their opinion, like should we arm them or not, their recommendation to us was you should arm these officers. Then the follow-up question was, okay, so for people that have done this job for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, how often do they draw their weapon? How often is that used? And the unanimous answer that I heard was, of the 4 or 5 people they knew, they had never actually pulled their weapon during their job. It was there in case something was happening, it was there if it was needed, but it was never pulled indiscriminately, and the idea of when to pull it is a part of the training that is ongoing. So I took a lot of comfort in those answers to those questions, and I think a couple of my peers did as well. So, any other questions?
To add on to that, I took
Yeah.
comfort in knowing there are other school districts as well, that they need to see that have been doing this for a while, where they are arming police officers. Just add on.
And to add on to your adding on, I took comfort in the fact that there's people that have done this and they've done it successfully, and we can model that kind of structure here, and to the betterment of our student body and our teaching staff and our administrative staff. So, any other comments, questions?
I have a question for our solicitor and administrators. So if we go down this path, and I'm not satisfied with the idea that no one pulls a weapon and therefore it's okay, because that to me is evidence that the weapon may have been unnecessary in the first place. And I think a lot of the evidence for armed presence on campus is from armed organizations like the Secret Service and the FBI and people who have an implicit bias towards armed law enforcement. So if we do this and vote tonight and it's the wrong decision for whatever reason, we decide a year from now, oh, we should have not voted to arm our school police officer. Can this board vote again at that point to say this is now going to be a position where we will remove that arming of a police officer from the job description, and they will be a school police officer who does not have access to a weapon? Or are we making this decision now, and this is, you're stuck in this?
I don't think you're locking yourself into anything in perpetuity. It depends on the term of the employment and when those things are ironed out. We would have to obviously follow that term. If it's 1 year, 2 year, however you do it, then revisit things. But no, you're not locking this in.
Any other questions or comments? If not, there's a motion on the table. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
Motion carries. Acknowledge your concerns. Motion carries. Under section 9, old business, any directors have any old business things like to discuss? New business, any directors have any new business things like to bring up? Open forum, anybody in our audience have any open forum questions today? There's a few hands. We'll start in the front if that's okay.
Yeah, just because I can't see who's behind me, so somebody.
Go, Terry.
We'll go front.
First off, I owe the entire board an apology, but I also owe Director Hunter an apology for interrupting. We don't see eye to eye on that issue. I understand that the issue of having an armed officer in the school is important. 41, I'm glad I don't have to personally decide. And you have my sympathy that this has become an issue for us. Having said that, let me explain a little bit why I lost my temper. And again, I apologize. That expression, the only thing that can stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. That is a statement originally said by Wayne LaPierre, former head of the NRA. I personally consider it to be rhetoric, and here's why. Useless rhetoric. Let me back that up. Because there are a lot of other options to stop a bad guy with a gun. I mean, there is mental health screening. There is screening for metal detectors at the door. There's I mean, there's a wealth of things, and the reason we don't often cite them is because when they work, it prevents the statistic. So we already have these in place, and we need these in place. And I personally, the reason I loathe that statement so much is because we need to find other options than a good guy with a gun. We have to explore all of the options. And so I apologize again that I lost my temper. That is why I react that way to that particular statement. And I should have known that it was coming up tonight, and I let it set me off. So regardless, that's my piece. Again, I apologize to the board, Director Hunchar, and you think I would know not to interrupt the meeting like that. I respect the program.
Hey Terry, you're an honorable man. I'm glad that you're one of our councilmen in Carnegie. I accept your apology.
For the minutes, can you state your first and last name?
I apologize. Terry?
Yeah. Tammy Gare, Carnegie. I echo everything Terry said. Just trying to do some research during this meeting, and majority of the research stated that a school police officer, resource officer, security guard, majority of the time does not deter or stop or reduce the injuries of a school shooting. So I echo everything Terry was saying about other methods that we can do to help deter, continue with our mental health. Can we reconsider, looking at the grants, bringing in the metal detectors, especially with the comment about the lockers. Just seeing the research that having a gun in the presence of a school, we've seen so many school shootings where there was a resource officer on duty armed and hasn't even intervened. So I do implore you, with the approval of this motion, when you are interviewing this officer, what questions will you ask that officer to try and understand whether or not they are brave enough to even encounter that armed individual? Okay.
Lisa Smith, a lot of you remember who I am. I drive a school bus. Before I started driving here in Fort Arlington, I drove all over the city. I've encountered resource officers, hither, dither, and yon, okay? And I listened to what every one of you said, and you all had something that stuck in your mind of what it should be versus what it shouldn't be. And I challenge you to go and talk to somebody like Bishop Hanneman. They had to get one just like you had to get one. He's dressed in black, he open carries, but he's not, and this is what you have to do with the kids up here. He is not here to harm the kids. He is not here to be an authority figure to the kids. What he is here is to protect all of the children. And if the children see him as a protector, not as, you start putting metal detectors in, then the kids think you're coming at them. And that's when they get upset, and that's when they get mad. But if you tell them, you brought this guy in here to protect them, that's where you're gonna have it. I don't think this guy should be concealed carry. I don't think he should be in school clothes, because then he's just another, happy-go-lucky, whatever. That's not his role. His role is protector, and he should look such. The kids should know they have someone who's got their back, who's going to protect them, who's going to save them, because that's what the kids want. They don't want you searching their backpacks and making them feel like they did something wrong when they didn't. They don't want to come through metal detectors and stand for 20 minutes at the door while it's pouring down rain, while it's freezing cold, trying to get all their stuff checked like they're, that they've done something wrong. What they're looking for is a protector. And I don't think there's anything wrong with making him look the part of protector. If the kids look at him as just another whatever, they're not going to take him seriously, and he has a serious job. So that's what I have to say.
So I have a couple comments. The first is, just to update you on family agreement, because I like to do it. I really appreciate Dr. Carter's agreement to work with Dr. Frenzik and me to help provide transportation for our crafting students. We should have answers to our survey we sent out to them for them to be able to come. We also are having the National Honor Society and Black Student Union are coming to read. Some community members. I appreciate people you guys who all got back to me, said you couldn't come and wished us well. If you haven't gotten back to me in my email, feel free to pop up. It's 6 to 8 on March 7th. We'll be there. It's going to be a great time. Dress as your favorite book character. We even have some cat in the hat stuff if you can dress up and you want to dress up. So that, but I wasn't thinking of some of these questions. I'm just bringing them just for now until you guys started talking. So I wish sometimes you could ask a question in the middle of your talking, because sometimes you think of things. But I was thinking back to that survey, and I could be wrong, but I do not remember one question in that survey about the police officer and the armed person of asking the race of the person taking the survey. So I think that's really important too when you think about things and I would have liked to see the data, because I would like to have seen how many people the survey was sent to, how many people responded, right? So if you sent it to 100 people and 78 people responded, that's great, right? But if 20 people responded, just using that as an example, that's not your constituents. That's not a majority of your constituents. So I would be curious, when you're sending surveys out. Again, I'm just going to caution you now that you voted on it, that you take a look at talking with your constituents, engaging the parents and the students. And I'm, again, curious if you guys even sat down and talked with the Black Student Union about what the thoughts were on the implications of what it has with students of color. That would have been a great resource. You guys voted on that a couple years ago to make them a part of the school. And so that would have been a great resource to say, hey, you know what? We recognize most of us are white. We don't know what it's like to be a person of color. Can you help us, right? Again, 98% of the people that work for this district, at least that I've seen, and I could be wrong, are white. So you ask your white people these questions. So when you're sending surveys out and creating this position, now that you've done it, I'd ask that you send another survey on saying, hey, this is what we're doing. What are some thoughts that people will come? And add race in there so that you're getting appropriate feedback from the people it affects the most, right? Because again, it doesn't affect as much white students in reports as it does students of color or students with a disability. So I just ask that when you're thinking about that those are some questions you're like, we didn't add that. Let's do it. Let's talk to the Black Student Union, right? And when you're going to hire, I would ask that you have transparency about who your candidates are so that people can do research and know this is a really important position and they have a really big thing that they're going to be carrying a gun. And again, I'm not for it, but I'd like to know who they are to do my own research and make sure that that person is not going to harm my African American child. So I'm petrified of that. I'm scared. The statistics show that he is more likely to end up with disciplinary actions when there's a police officer because he is a student of color. And so please think about that when you're making these decisions, about those students that don't look like you and what that effect it has on them.
I just wanted to say to you that personnel matters are confidential, so certain matters in hiring could not be shared with the public, just so you're aware.
I just want to reiterate Robert's Rules of Order, and I know sometimes it stinks to want to be able to talk while the board is up for a meeting, but unfortunately, due to Robert's Rules of Order, it's open.
I've sat on many boards, I know that. Yeah.
Reese. Hi, Reese Smith. I was going to say one thing, but I just started moving on that. The Robert's Rules of Order, the parliamentary authority you guys use for the board, unless there's a law to the contrary, actually you guys could move to sort of there's actually multiple ways, but one way you could do it is move to amend the agenda to add in another section of public comment to at any moment actually hear public comment from the people. I've studied Robert's Rules of Order a bit, so I do know if you guys wanted to, you could hear from the membership multiple times at each item, let people intervene, so that is something you guys could look into doing if you're interested. The real thing I wanted to ask about though was about the survey, and if we are going to be able to see any sort of the data of the survey. You know, you guys mentioned, oh, it's a majority, but I'd be interested to see like how much of a majority, what is, like how many respondents were there. Especially, I'm particularly really interested in what the students themselves just said, because to me, I think that's kind of the most important thing, is how the students are feeling about this change. Not just the district as a whole, but particularly the students. So that's all I have.
I believe we have the intent to publish it once we get it compiled properly and make sure we record it. I think multiple board members suggest that the public is asked for it, so we'll find it published.
And where might it be available at? Will it just be on the website?
I assume so. Is that? Yeah. Great. Any other open forum questions or comments? Yes.
Hi. In anticipation of this passing, something that I'd like to put forward for your consideration, it's my understanding that you have the legal authority to implement a policy that would place a moratorium on the school police officer being able to issue citations or engage in any other law enforcement activities. I would really like to see that be a one-year moratorium at least, so that we can gather data on what this person is doing in our schools. I would like to ensure that they also have training on students' legal rights. I don't know if having them being ununiformed or a concealed carry, if that actually protects students' rights, because the actions that they take in regard to a teacher or to a police officer changes greatly. It moves from misdemeanors to felonies. If a student is in a fight and their arm swings back and they accidentally hit a police officer, that's a felony charge. They can be charged with aggravated assault. Those have long-term, tremendous consequences for students. They need to know who they're interacting with. However that happens, we'll have to figure out. I think especially students knowing that they have the right to remain silent while interacting with this person, as they will be a police officer, that there's limits of what law enforcement is able to do within a school setting, that students understand their right to an attorney. I'd also ask that this officer be explicitly prohibited from being able to see any student records, especially as it relates to immigration status. I think ensuring that any school-based discipline remains in the hands of educators and not this law enforcement. Maybe that means that we still call in borough police officers as opposed to our own school police officer when it comes to issuing summary citations. I think we have a lot to learn about how this person is going to interact with our community. I think that extends to families coming into the school. If this person is going to be at after-school activities and events, I think just making sure that we have guaranteed protections for our students, and especially those vulnerable communities that we know are proportionately harmed or disproportionately harmed. I'll just echo what other people have said. Thanks.
John, please reiterate that the SPO will have nothing to do with discipline for students. Correct.
So a lot of your points are.
We don't know that because we've not seen
You're right.
any details on anything. That's my point.
It's fair. You're a fair point, and I think we're all learning together. We don't know what this is going to look like. We greatly value your feedback, your input. There's a lot of caution in our board. There's a lot of caution from our administration. We know we need to do this. I think we're one of 2 or 3 districts that don't have some sort of officer today, so we're kind of catching up to others. I don't think we've had a reason to need one in the past, but now we're mandated to have one. We want to do it the right way. So.
And maybe it's worth reaching out to school districts that have pulled school police officers out of their schools because it has been so detrimental to their students and their communities. That might be helpful. And quite frankly, I think that there's been a resistance to sharing information, and it's kept a lot of us in the dark. I think a survey coming out in October what was the response rate? Is it even a representative sample? You could, I think, calm a lot of the discontent and the concern, regardless of which side we fall on this position, by sharing information that you have at your fingertips. Not being able to get results from a survey, at least at a summary level from October, to me feels very unacceptable.
Fair point. Can we have it by the end of the month? Is that, okay. End of the month, love it. Okay, perfect.
To her point, this SPO will be a district employee. So her questions about like if the resource or SPO gets accidentally hit during a fight, will it be an escalated offense, like she mentioned, if it was a police officer, or since it's a district employee, is it a lower offense?
I don't know if we have that.
You can look at a million different kinds of scenarios here. I'm not sure I even understood what you said. I didn't quite hear it.
If I hit a police officer, a real police officer, then I will be charged with a certain offense. But if this is a school police officer who is a staff member of the district.
It's a police officer.
Okay, so it would be the same level of charge.
Depends on what the police officer, the facts, I can't really.
But if I hit a teacher, what would be the offense that I would be undertaking if I hit a police officer?
That could be assault.
What's that?
That could be assault.
Okay. Would it be the same
thing.
level of offense if I hit a teacher versus a police officer? That's the question that's being asked.
Is it a felony or a misdemeanor?
Yes.
I mean, I don't know this off the top of my head, but range
Can
offenses.
that be something that's looked into, like her questions that were asked?
Yeah, that's a
Can
good question.
those answers be brought forward in the next meeting?
Any other open forum questions?
I have one that's completely unrelated.
Okay.
Big side really function. But, Dr. Taylor, following up on the December meeting, you said that you were, after the retreat, you would have statistics for testing for students with ESL, or for the ESL students. I don't know that I've ever seen those statistics. Have those been made public?
I haven't really had a chance to. I have to disaggregate that data, and it's not something I can just run a report specifically to do next year. I have to actually for everything, so disaggregate.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that I didn't miss it. Thank you.
So hopefully by the next meeting we'll have, is that, by the next meeting, is that possible?
I can say that's a goal.
Okay, perfect.
No pressure, I will ask at the next meeting.
Perfect. Yes, ma'am.
Megan Thomas from Cranston. In October, elementary parents were provided a survey regarding physical education, and we had 6 days to complete that survey. Where is the data on if our PE curriculum will change?
Oh, you're talking about the needs assessments. That was a curriculum, that was the curriculum department chair that sent out a survey to all parents about their curriculum.
So it was 9 questions specific to PE and health.
Yes.
Is there data that shows that we might be changing that for our K through 6? Because our obesity rates are going really high. I've talked to the nurses and there's a concern. And I think PE 1 day through 6 days rotation is not enough. And that was one of the main questions. Where's our data on parent input?
Our teachers curriculum committee has that data, and it's not something we typically would send out, but I certainly can ask them.
Okay, I think what I'm hearing from a lot of community members are, we as parents get asked questions and we provide feedback and then there's no follow-through. I've asked twice for information on climate survey and have never been given any information on that. We're asking for information from October survey for police. We're not given that. We're asked for information on curriculum. There's no follow-through. Eventually, your sample is going to get smaller and smaller. I don't think parents are going to continue to provide input because we don't know where our information is going. This is upsetting to me. I had a 10th grader who had a completely different experience, K through 6, that my son is having. He was in kindergarten during COVID, which We all know that led to some kinks. But there's been a lot of changes in the curriculum, and I'm not seeing everything moving as the district says. So I hope that there's some information provided to us on the PE specifically, and if there's going to be any changes. Thank you.
I think it's a fair point. Thank you for sharing that. So the one survey we typically have in February, Taylor, is there, can you get some of those other surveys out?
I mean, I know that the teachers sent out survey about phys ed classes. I have to ask the teacher.
Most of the teachers sent that.
Yeah, we didn't administratively send it out, our teachers sent it out, so I have to ask.
It was sent through Arlington. It wasn't sent by Mr. Picarelli.
The teachers on the curriculum committee sent the data out using that,
Okay.
but we administratively did not send that out. We didn't write the questions for that way.
Gotcha.
The data all went to the teacher committee,
Gotcha.
so.
I think it would be helpful when you're sending surveys to say who's sending it, because it's very misleading when it comes from a district, from the district person, that it sounds like it's like an administration sending the survey and not like generated from like, hey, this is sent on behalf of the teacher's curriculum people like that. Because we're thinking we're sending it back to you guys are doing something with it, and here we are finding out it's not actually.
Any other open forum questions? If not board members, any other open forum questions? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. Moved and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. We are adjourned.